Welcome, welcome. We are getting together now. It is Friday, time for our bonus sessions we're going to do today. So quite a few things we're going to go through, which is join us so that everybody is here while people are joining us, okay? I have people coming into the room right now. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Are on the go, are you, Stephanie?
Yes, off to Parents Weekend.
Oh, very nice. That's great. We'll just give people another minute to join us. Let people in as they're popping in here. Where are you going for? Oh, you're.
We live in Pennsylvania and we're headed up to Massachusetts. Oh, I think I'm frozen.
Everybody seems frozen except me. Anybody else in the waiting room, but I don't see them popping in here. We'll get just one more minute, then we're going to get started because I knew there was somebody else there, but I haven't popped up again. So. It's a little bit unusual. Just making sure I don't have any message. If you can hear me, have indication in the chat, just so I know it's working. I see Lindy moving a little bit.
Yeah.
There, perfect, thank you. So you can dial in. So let's see if I can find it quickly here. I think my connection's unstable for some reason, so. Okay. So
maybe turn your video
take a moment to send this to Stephanie. My video?
Yeah, see if it makes a difference. Or we can all turn our video. I don't know, sometimes.
Yeah, it's showing pretty stable now, but let's drop this here. So just drop the number in the chat, Stephanie McCullough. So if you need it by email, I don't know if I have your email handy enough to do it pronto for you. No, not without digging. So hopefully that's going to work. All right, welcome everybody. I knew Luann was here, but I don't know where she went. So she never made. She was in the waiting room, and then she didn't come along. So she may have some difficulties as well, or maybe my difficulties cause difficulties for her. So welcome everybody. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is looking forward to the weekend. Everyone's had a good week. Would love to start off and either hear from you verbally. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Livia. Would love to either hear in the chat or hear from you verbally. One thing you are taking away with you for the week that you've learned, whether it's a new perspective, just a reframing of things, something you've already put into action. So would love to hear some wins from the week. And so you can drop them in the chat, or you can go ahead, Stephanie Cooner.
So Luann and I, we talk after each session, so it's really good. It's been causing us to have some really good conversations, and we're going to have a strategy session in a couple of weeks, like a whole whiteboarding and sketch out our goals, because our year end is October 31st. So we're excited to kind of like put some of these ideas into place, and so yeah, so we're giving us a kick in the butt, I guess.
Excellent. I love that. I'm all about kind of the tough love. So I've got kindness in it, but certainly like to give people a bit of a kick to get things going. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
I know. Tell Luann. I was just going to say, Luann, I just said that she's given us a kick in the butt. We're going to do a strategy session and our forecasting for 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry I'm late. I just got home and there's lots of traffic out today.
Yeah, I was surprised because I haven't been in Toronto most of the year, and the traffic now is ridiculous. It's so crazy between the construction, the traffic, and I don't know where all the people are going because most of the offices are not in work. It's like people are not going to work. So people are still working at home. So it seems a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we say. Where are all these people going?
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, where am I going? So maybe they're going to the same places as I am. So thank you both for joining us. And I'm so glad that it's given you the kick that you needed this week. If anybody else wants to share, feel free. I don't want to put anybody on the spot though either, because a lot of this can be a personal journey. So go ahead, Livia.
Yes, I'm really amazed by what we kind of accomplished this week, because you have really opened up and everybody just sharing their examples and circumstances. You drove us to open up to you, and that to me and my special situation, it's very endearing because yeah. I did not have that opportunity. I learned a lot, and hopefully I'll get moving to the numbers. It's I believe my thing. I know exactly what it is because I'm going to the root cause of things as an engineer. I think that way, and everybody wants to change me the way I think, and that's been pretty. Yeah, but yeah, your comment of yesterday that do not allow anybody to be condescending to you. Well, they're trying their best, but that's why I'm not moving anywhere, and it's like too long now, you know. Yeah, so I really appreciate this, and everybody. I guess I'm the only one from US.
Yeah, and sometimes it's setting boundaries.
But you know, Tracy.
No, Lindy and Stephanie McCullough are from the US, and Barb was from the US as well.
Oh, yeah, you've been amazing. I found you and I was like, wow. So continue what you're doing. I think it's a great learning experience.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anything you wanted to add, Lindy? No, I don't know if it's
made me take a fresh, more thorough look at my numbers. I do look at my balance sheet every month, but I hadn't looked at my expenses side by side with what I had coming in. And so it was eye-opening to see that And unfortunately, I did just open my wallet again today to join the Better Business Bureau. But it's probably another source of marketing or somewhat advertising or whatever. So hopefully it'll be worthwhile. Anyway.
Oh,
so.
absolutely. Because you have to try out different things to find out what are the best sources for you. So last year I tried out Business Networking International, BNI. Great people, didn't like the time commitment, didn't get the referrals that I wanted. So ended that after my commitment was up. So you go and you explore different things to see what's going to work. So sometimes you have to try. So good on you for reaching out to a new avenue, and that should be good because that gives like that stamp of approval, that credibility.
Yeah, and there's a thing I can put on my website. Which I think there is with purse strings too, and I don't know how to do my website, so I have to connect with my web designer and say we have some updates.
Yeah, I haven't done the purse strings one yet either, so I need to do that. So good reminder. Thank you. Well, I'm so glad to see all of you here Friday. And I know there's so many of you checking out the replay. You have made it through the financial foundations to entrepreneurial peace. I hope that you make use of your workbook ongoing and that really serves as some notes for you, a guidepost to remind you that you had some ideas, you had some things you were going to tackle, and some people have tackled some of them this week. Some will be longer term, but keep them handy, keep it out where you can see it. Set those regular meetings in your calendar so that you can really focus on what it is that's going to give you the peace that you need in your business. And it's been really cool because we've had a couple people showing up live and catching the replay who are multi-partners in a business. So that brings with it additional communication requirements and complexity. And it's not that it's hard, it's just you got to do things a little bit differently. It can't be all in one person's head because that's not going to work very well. So today I want to start with going through a little bit of training and a little bit of dialogue around money mindset, because I know when we talked about the pricing, we talked about when we were a kid, what was happening, what was that story that was going on. Stephanie McCullough was so brave to share that she had the published prices and then she still hadn't articulated them to new clients and how she was going to do that and had done that recently. So what's coming up and when we're setting the pricing, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you some tangible tips that you can actually move from a place of scarcity over to abundance. And it's not, again, like I said, like snapping your fingers. It's with daily routine and daily practice that you can start to move the needle. And so really cut yourself some slack. Like I've talked about all week, financial fitness is really a lifelong journey, whether it be personal or in your business. And we're all taking small, imperfect forward steps. We might be just starting to learn the basics, or we could be learning more sophisticated things, just like what would happen in physical fitness. We might be doing that first walk around the block, or we might be training to run a marathon. And everybody is somewhere in that spectrum, and no place is wrong. And the only place you can start is where you are. So you need to have happiness for where you're starting, the fact that you are starting, and you're going to make mistakes. So be kind with yourself as you're making those missteps. Okay, that's absolutely key. So I want to talk about money mindset first, and really the importance of gratitude. So as you think through your life, your beliefs, and the way that you assess things, things might come up. You're going to have different memories. You're going to have different things that come to mind. And really want you to think about a couple things that you would like to do different, and maybe think about differently and react differently a little bit. And it only takes a little bit of focus and retraining of your brain to do that. And so your life is really meant to be lived joyously and consciously and with intent and purpose. And so that a lot of it comes from and stems from your relationship with money. So if you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling stressed, that's going to overshadow everything else that's going on in your life. And so I don't believe money is good or bad. I relayed earlier in the week how, as a young girl in the neighborhood, I was going out and trying to figure out different ways to make money, all legitimate ways of making money, with my lemonade stand and my newspaper and all of that kind of stuff. But I was very unemotional about money, which is not the norm. And we had very frank, open dialogue in my household. We all knew how things stood. I never felt concerned about money. I knew my parents watched their pennies, and everything was really detailed, but I didn't feel like we were going without. So even if maybe things were super tight, my parents didn't share that much with me as a little kid, but I knew that they were having lists, the groceries, we got what was on the list. If we were going to get that, I loved getting Pac-Man cereal. So we were allowed to get one box of sugar cereal, my mom would call it, in the groceries. But if she got it on Thursday and we ate it by Friday, there was no more till the next 2 weeks, until she went back to the store. So those are the kind of memories that it conjures up for me. And so money doesn't have power over me. It's a tool. I use it as a thing to help me get to or obtain things that I want. But how we feel about that and our emotions are all connected in there. And so we talked about our views are formed when we're really young, really between those ages of 5 to 7 is when it happens. And I mentioned about that little girl guide who told me that money was evil when I asked the group, what do you think about money? And this was in a really affluent area. These little kids were showing up with their Ugg boots and their designer clothes to the Girl Guides meeting. And so someone in there is feeling that way. So probably because she's living in this little area that's very affluent, probably on the outside looking like a really well-to-do family, but inside the house, maybe they're kind of one missed paycheck away from not being able to pay their bills. And we certainly know in Canada, almost 50% of the households are one missed paycheck away from not being able to pay bills. So that's really the situation. But she was adamant that money was evil. So think about all those experiences in your life that have shaped who you are, to the way you interact, you relate, you feel about money. So money mindset is really your overriding attitude in terms of how you feel about money, how you react, how you think. And it really drives how you're going to make a financial decision every day, and how you're going to be able to achieve your goals. If you think you can't achieve your goals, you absolutely will not. Like it's not going to happen. You have to have the belief that it's possible. And so with money's tied up in a lot of goals in your life, because you've got to have the money to be able to accomplish them, whether it's going to school, whether it's traveling, buying a home, buying a vehicle, taking your family on a vacation, expanding your business. All of these things require funds. So being able to think about things from a place of positivity is absolutely key. So there's two big mindsets out there. Scarcity, which is, I don't know the exact stat, but a very high 90-some% of the people in the whole world have a scarcity mindset. And then there's abundance. And so you've probably heard people talk about this. You see it a lot on social media. But scarcity, just to give you a little bit of a rundown, is this belief that there's never going to be enough, whether it's money or food or something else entirely. And so every time you approach something, you're always innately feeling that there's never enough, never going to be enough love for me or food for me or money. And so you think that's permanent and that's how everything is always going to be. And so you might say things, or if you know people who really kind of exemplify this, because there's, again, it's a spectrum from scarcity to abundance. That people are all over the place, and you may not always be one thing. Lindy's saying, if you think you'll have money or if you think you won't, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't believe it's possible, it's never going to happen. So if you might hear people say, I don't make enough money, or I'll have to go without. I can't afford that. And if you start listening, you will hear people drop these things into conversation all the time. It's really amazing when you start actually paying attention and you listen. So you might start to feel envious or jealous of other people. So if that's you, you don't want to spend too much time on social media, because as you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and everyone's putting that very perfect moment of their life there for you to see, it's going to make you feel bad. And so you won't feel like being generous with others. You're probably going to overindulge in things to make yourself feel better, to treat yourself because you deserve it. You had a hard business. you're going to order out 3 nights a week just to make that nicer for yourself. Winning and she's doing well, then I'm probably failing. And it's a zero-sum game. I saw a little unstable notes. I want to make sure I'm still with you. Good. All right. So that if she's doing well, I have to automatically be doing poorly because we both can't do well. And so from scarcity, we don't think about the pie getting bigger. We just think about it being fixed. And if somebody's getting more, then I'm getting less. And this is just ingrained in us. And so you might not even realize that you're thinking about things in this way, but it's going to be the lens that you see everything through. And it's called a limiting belief, which creates stress, fatigue, anxiety, and all of these negative feelings are really coming up when we're thinking about it. Versus if we think about abundance, everything's possible. We were brainstorming yesterday ideas for Stephanie and Luann and who maybe they could target to have like bigger sales of their book. And it is all possible. The work that you're going to need to do to pursue each one of them needs to be defined, but everything's on the table if you want it to be on the table. And so being open to it, the same is true with your financial situation. And so you're going to think things like, I have enough. I don't know how to do it, but I can figure it out. I can handle this. These are the kinds of things you might start having in an inner dialogue in your brain. Those feelings of jealousy that you got in there, they're going to be replaced with appreciation and positivity and generousness. You're going to be more inclined to share something with somebody else. And whether that be your time, your talents, or your treasures. And so I heard that expression when I was working at TD, and I absolutely loved it because you can donate your time, you can donate your skills, your talents, or your actual treasures, your funds. And at different stages in life, you're going to be able to donate one or all, but it does change. Yeah, Luann, the pie is getting bigger, and that's absolutely how we should see it. A lot of times people will say to me, it must be so frustrating that people keep starting podcasts about money. There's so many of them out there. And I think the more the merrier, because I want to help people learn about money. And I know my style isn't going to work for everybody. So if I know that some people will relate to a different style, I hope they find that person. And it actually then increases the industry, it increases the credibility, and it just helps more people overall, which is my goal. So I shouldn't feel bad that there's another podcast that popped up. Are they going to be the same quality as mine? I don't know, but I don't need to care about what they're doing. I just keep doing what I'm doing. And if I can support them, I will. If they can support me, great. But it's a good thing when there's more competitors. And it actually forces people to be doing the right things for their clients, whoever they may be. So you've heard now scarcity, you've heard abundance. I'm not going to call on anybody to say what their dominant one is, but you probably have already thought about who are you more likely. And again, it's a spectrum. So you might be middle of the road. And sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's never enough. I'll never have the funds to be able to accomplish those goals. And then in other moments, you might have that positivity. So my parents were doing the groceries every 2 weeks. My mom was making the list. We were totally an average family in my neighborhood. I knew there was better off families. I knew there was worse off families. But my parents really instilled a strong work ethic in me that if you work hard, you can achieve things. And it's not always going to be easy and it's not always going to be fun, but you've got to be able to put in the time, put in the work. And so sometimes even when I'm having a stressful or difficult time with something, I can catch myself thinking about things from a place of scarcity. You know how sometimes when you're doing something and it just is hard, like normally it's easy, but sometimes things are hard. And so you can fall into kind of patterns of, oh my gosh. And you start telling yourself these things that are just not true. And so I've trained my brain to be able to recognize if that's happening and then to snap out of it. And not to worry too much about certain things, but it's not, again, like turning on a light switch. So if you're still not sure which camp you're falling into most dominantly, here's a few more questions to help you kind of figure this out. So when you think about your financial future, are you worried and fearful, or do you feel optimistic and energetic that things are possible and I can do it? It's not going to be easy. It's not like winning the lotto and it accomplishes all your goals, but there's going to be a way to do it. Do you make instant purchases or do you practice delayed gratification? And this can be personally or in your business. So if you're treating yourself, you're online shopping because you had a bad week, that's trying to soothe some stuff, and that's your instant purchases, right? Are you open to taking calculated risks financially, or are you so afraid of losing everything that you don't even bother getting involved in anything? You're really risk averse. When you thought about your childhood, what was coming up, and really what's your overall view about money? Is it this thing that's elusive? Is it something that can come to you? Do you know if you work hard, you're going to make it? So all of those things help you figure out kind of where you fall in the scale of it. And so if you're generally feeling positive and you resonated with a lot of the positive things I was saying, you're probably closer to the abundance end of the spectrum. But most of society does have that strong scarcity mindset. And I mean, social media perpetuates it, politics perpetuates it, so many things in life perpetuates it, because it's good for certain people to have others feel that way. It's part of marketing too, right? Like, we get people to do things because we can push a little button that plays on their emotions, so it drives certain behavior. Okay. The good news is, though, even if you're closer to the scarcity side, you can move over to abundance. And again, not overnight, but there's 3 things you can do to help you feel and foster a feeling of greater abundance. Okay. So the first one is a daily practice of gratitude. And so before I should preface this. So I am a huge proponent of tangible, tactical things that are based in experience and based on my knowledge and based on numbers. And so some of this might seem a little bit out there, but this coupled with the practical that we've already talked about this week, this is really the key. Okay. You can't do one without the other because it won't work. So you've got to know factually and technically how to do the numbers and figure out what's going on in your business, but you also have to have the mindset that goes with it too. So the first one, to practice gratitude. So the simple act of you being appreciative for things in your life actually changes the way that you think and your outlook. So I woke up this morning, I was able to have a shower with hot water. I was able to go for a nice walk with my dog. I had breakfast to eat. I had clothes to wear. I was able to do all of these things. Not everybody is in that position. So sometimes we overlook the things that we have that are going so well for us because we don't give them more than we maybe don't even give them a thought. We just take it for granted that that's our life. And so when you focus on those things that you can be appreciative of, it increases your positivity and your outlook. Okay. Keep track. You can do it in the morning, you can do it at the night, even write them down, because when you're having kind of a low day, you can pull out your list and be like, wow, my life is pretty good. And most people's lives are pretty good. They have everything that they need. They may not have everything that they want, but most people have everything that they need. So think about that. And social media, if that's kind of your nemesis and it makes you feel those feelings of jealousy or you're feeling envious, limit your time. We need to use it for our businesses. So let's focus on what we're doing. Let's not go down the rabbit hole of Instagram scrolling or whatever we're going to do with that. And certainly it happens to young adults especially, but happens to everybody, that comparisonitis. Lots of people probably resonate with the term keeping up with the Joneses. And one of my friends, Jennifer, she'll always say to me, how can those people afford that? How do they have 3 cars and they go on this vacation and they have the cottage and they this and this and this? And there's been a new trend actually of people pre-spending their inheritances. So they expect to receive an inheritance from their families and they're already spending it, which is number one, bad idea. Because number 2, there's no guarantee in life. And I hope my parents live long enough to spend all their money, and there's no inheritance for anybody because that means they have a nice long life. But people are getting into so much debt. And I threw the stat out there, 50% of Canadians can't pay their bills if they miss a paycheck. That's where people are. And it's not just people in lower income brackets. These are people who now maybe have kept earning and earning, but now they're overspending. So just to keep that in mind. What you see on the outside is not what's happening necessarily on the inside. And just like in businesses, I talked about the hype earlier in the week of people with sales and launches and wow, look at me. When you look behind the curtain, everything's not always rosy. So focus on yourself, practice gratitude for what you have. Number 2, carefully select the company that you keep. You are the product of the 4. I'm just going to pause. You guys hear me now? Yes? Okay. Jim Rohn came up with that saying that the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with really impact how you think, how you feel, how you act. So if I'm spending time with people who are chirping in my ear about how dare I charge that for that service in my business, what am I doing? Why does my website look like that? How could I do a podcast on this? I'm going to be pretty miserable. And then I'm probably going to behave that way with others, and I'm going to be stressed. And so do you spend time with people who make you feel good, who give you lifts, compliments, make you feel positive? Or are you spending time with people who kind of bring you down? And so there might need to be boundary setting around friends, family members, other people that you still love and you want to have in your life, but maybe they're not going to be the dominant forces. So think about who are those 5 people you're spending the most amount of time with, and are you feeling the way you want to, or do you need to maybe change up 1 or 2 of them? And it's not about kicking people out or leaving people behind, but expanding your circle and maybe being more conscious of the time you're spending with them. It makes me think about, I was just before the pandemic, I was in Sephora and I was in line to buy something. And there was 2 women behind me. I think they were friends. And one was pressuring the other one to get an increase in her line of credit to renovate her house. And the second woman, she was like, oh no, we're okay. We don't need to do that right now. And then the other one was, oh, you should do it. It's so easy. They'll increase your line of credit. No trouble. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's renovating their house. So she's almost like a financial bully, pushing this other woman to take on more debt. And finally, the other woman said, we can't afford it. We can't pay our bills we have now, which I was surprised she said, but I was just about to turn around and tell that other one to lay off her friend. But who are those people we're spending time with? Did you have something you wanted to add, Stephanie?
I just think that was so much serendipity that you were hearing that conversation.
Yeah, I was getting really angry because I'm like, you are a bully and you probably love this person and they're your friend. And now you're encouraging them to go into more debt to the point we're in a store and they're saying, me and my husband can't afford anything. So be mindful of who's pressuring you for what. And it can be those side comments. It can be the looks. It can be the size. It's not necessarily directly what they're saying. So think about that. And are you feeling as abundant as you want? And if not, who could you spend more time with? Or what podcasts could you incorporate into your life? Or what books that help you bring those feelings? And so the third one is actually to create space. And I didn't think it was possible because we were all super overscheduled before COVID. But now it's possible to be more scheduled with the beauty of Zoom. We can be back to back to back all day long and not get out of our chairs, not go for a walk, not eat. It's not helpful. Everybody is super busy. And so we need to have a little bit of space to think, to do something fun, move our bodies around in a way that we like to do, but just kind of declutter, whether it's our brain, whether it's our physical space, to allow things to just come. And to allow ourselves to feel and think and have a moment to think about something a little bit more strategic, but we can't do that when we're overscheduled. So if you put into practice the practicing gratitude, really being mindful of who you're spending your time with and actually freeing up your schedule a little bit, you're going to be able to create more feelings of abundance, and that's going to come. It's not coming overnight. You don't just do it one day and then, oh, everything's changed. It's a repeated practice and a routine, and you're going to fall into past traps, and that's going to happen. But if you can start to notice, oh, I got that invoice. It came and hit my email box and I got a pit in my stomach. I notice now. I never used to notice that happened. Okay, why is that happening? Do I actually have money to pay the bill? I do. but that's just my learned behavior, that's how I feel. I love it when I get my bills in my inbox. I log in, like I was saying the other day, not necessarily a good practice from a cash flow management strategy, but I just log into my banking and I pay my bills. And I feel happy that I can pay my bills when they're due. So that makes me happy. And so what are the things that are going to make you happy? So I hope you've enjoyed this little primer on money mindset, and it gets you thinking about things. There are so many other ways that you can increase feelings of abundance. These are just 3. So if it's something you're interested in, certainly do Google it. You're going to find tons of articles on it. Maybe it's doing something more spiritual. Maybe it's a yoga practice. Maybe it's meditation. Everybody's going to have things that work for them. But if you can focus on what's good in your life, it's really hard to think about the things that you don't have and to think about bad stuff. So we all know people who are going through illnesses. We all know people who are having hard times. But what do we have to be happy about and grateful for? And it's fitting for this conversation because in Canada, we just celebrated Thanksgiving. So people were thinking about those kinds of things and what was going on. So hope that's been enjoyable. If anyone has any thoughts, would love to hear them, or you can drop something in the chat. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, I was thinking yesterday, I was thinking about the abundance of money in the world and the numbers that you see flying by, like for Apple, $1 trillion company, or Jeff Bezos, or, athletes, what they get paid, or, all these VC raises that you see now, venture capitalist raises, like it's 55 million or 30 million. I'm like, there's a lot of money out there. There is a lot of money out there. So Luann and I can have a, $500,000 business or something. Like,
of course you can.
Those are, where is that 55 million coming from for Apply Board or these companies that are getting this money? It's where, I don't know where it's coming from, but they're getting it. So I just was like, well, that's abundant, right? It's out there. So
well, you think you've got these billionaires going to space just for the fun of it. Like, it's not for any kind of research purposes. It's just for their own thrills. Imagine what that money can do. And not to say that they don't do good things as well, but there's a lot of money. And so if you believe that it's out there, how are you going to get some of it? Yeah. And how can you create more of it? And it's certainly possible.
That's what I just was like, it's out there. So it's not like, oh, I gotta like fight for every like student or course and everything. It's out there. So it's this connection to it's out there to like, how do we bridge to that? So
yeah, how do you communicate the value you're offering in such a way that people grab it up without it being maybe challenging? So it's landing on the right message, getting in front of the right people, but that's all within your power.
Yeah,
you have control over that.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I was thinking yesterday. I was thinking over there at breakfast, I'm like, there's millions and millions out there.
Yeah, even when you talked about the other day, the amount of money like parents spending on like the driving lessons, like that in itself, that's just a mundane example that average people are paying. If they can do that, they can do this.
Yeah, like it's $1,500 about what you need to get your kid.
Yeah. And
that's just what you pay.
So then if you can take, because what I'm seeing is that like an attitude shift and a confidence shift, if you bring that in, look what we have, this is like your weekly spend on, or your monthly spend on data for your cell phones. Like this is very doable, but it's coming with that sitting taller, more confidence. You need this, not do you want this? Your kids need this. This is the best thing you could ever get them if you want them to be successful in life.
Yeah, so it's a minimal investment.
How many kids do you have?
Yeah, it's a minimal investment that's really going to pay off and transform and alleviate stress and worry and save time and
Yeah, but with some people, you'll be able to just cut through and be like, you're spending money on all this other stuff. This is essential. Get this. And you can be that direct. Because if in front of people who have funds to spend. It's just about getting to the bottom line. You're spending money on a lot of stupid stuff or other things that are not as critical for your kid's future. Get it now. This will be the best investment you make for them. So you'll judge and you'll be using different approaches on this, depending on the situation. But you don't need to be like, oh, please come to my course. It's, hey, we got this awesome course and it's going to change your life or your kid's life or your grandson's life. And how would you like to pay today?
You just broke up there a bit. Can you say that again? You just
what course, what start date did you want them? What start date do you want them to sign up and go to the course on? How would you like to pay today? Did you want one book or did you want 5 because you have 5 grandkids? Like, it's all in that phrasing, because people will take their cue from you. And if you feel really confident, they're going to feel really confident that they don't want to miss out on this. Yeah. So
we were doing that in our scripting a little bit, right, Lou? Like, even we got a lead and we just basically, she was like, is this the right course? And we're like, definitely, this is the right course, you know, and do you want to start this weekend or next weekend? We said, like, you know, you could start Thanksgiving or the weekend after. And she said, yes, and signed up and bought, and that was it. Yeah. So there was no more selling. It was just convincing, like just confidence in the email. This was email exchange. So it's that confidence in the value you bring, I think.
Yeah. And knowing, but the big part of it goes with the mindset that there is money out there. People have money to spend on things that are important to them. Yeah. And this is important. And each of you has something that's important, or you wouldn't be doing it. So
you can find the money. You could find the money for this, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if people say, you know what, I really can't afford it. Okay, great. We'll look at some of our free resources and we hope you come back later. Do you mind if we follow up in 6 months? And then you move on to the next people that are ready. So, so that's great. Excellent.
I know I'm sort of, maybe I'm catching my mindset, so but I'm okay to be vulnerable here.
Yes.
So I was like, but wait a second, 50% of the people can't afford like losing their next paycheck. So I'm like, oh, gee, am I flipping into scarcity mindset or what?
Both things can be true. People can be 50% of them, like if they miss their paycheck, can't pay their bills. But the reason that that's happening is because they're spending money on all these things. So if they're spending money on weekends away, it's probably more important for them to spend money for their child's future on this. So they're going to spend the money regardless. You're not making them spend money. It's their choice to spend money. And so that's another good point. And I'm so glad that you brought this up, because what happens, what you've just tried to do is to go in their money story. You tried to overthink what they think and think about what's going on in their brain. And that's actually not your business.
And the other thing
everybody chooses and everyone makes a choice.
The other thing I would say, Lou, is there's 50% that aren't living to the next paycheck. Then immediately I'm like, well, there's 50% of the world out there. We'll go after those people, because I'm high in positivity. So I'm completely glass half full all the time. So, I would say if you find yourself thinking about their situation and can they afford it, you went too far into them. Stay with you. You know, you have something great to offer. You're going to serve it up to people. And if they take it, wonderful. If they don't, that's okay. And you don't need to be in, maybe they couldn't afford it. Maybe I need a payment plan. Maybe I need this. That's their life. And then you're going to stay in your situation.
Yeah. No, I'm totally happy being like the open book here, because I think there's some good learning moments that come out of it. I will say, so we work with parents also as the student is going through the course. They get a little bit different slant on things. But I did have a parent say to me, you know, by investing in this course, we're teaching our child, we're making a statement. Those are his words. We're making a statement on what's important. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to remember that, because
you should get a testimonial from them. And it also, like, it's a whole bunch of things. Like it shows a statement about that family's values. It also shows to their child that we care so much about you and what happens to you that we want to make this investment. And even if it's a family with finite resources, we think this is so important and you are so important that we're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. But I just got an idea, because say you encounter some families where it's not very doable, then maybe you are charging more to the people who pay, and you're starting up a little scholarship fund for the families who can't pay and people are going through free or on a reduced price.
I love that. Yeah, I know you do that too, Tracy. And I
Mhm.
saw it on your website and my heart just went like, yes.
But you can do that too. You're
course.
going to encounter families who can't pay. So why not charge more to the people who can and subsidize some of them?
Like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh.
I'm
No, it's the concept.
going to throw another one out because I know I'm tapping into your wisdom today, Tracy. And I'm like, off. It feels like tap into Tracy Day. So the concept that we have like our personal abundance and then we have our business abundance,
Mhm.
right? And so, you know, I just want to feel like the business abundance more. I mean, personally, I feel very abundant, but like business wise, I want to really tap into that. I actually had an idea while you were talking about, oh, I'm going to do a map of the world and I'm going to like put little like clicks where we've made sales or where our book is, right? Like just to give that image of like,
But you could actually then put that on your website and be like, look, we're in 40, because I can say about my podcast, I'm listened to in over 40 countries.
Wow.
And it's true. Sometimes it's like one person in one country, but it's over 40 countries.
Yeah. You know how that feels? It's like, it feels like, whoa, like,
but also when somebody hears it, they're like, oh, I need to deal with them then. They're worldwide.
Yeah.
But you could have a thing like that on your website. Our book has been purchased in all these countries.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, is there just like little tools to switch, like to get into the abundance mindset that are proof? You know, it's true, these things.
So you want to look for, I think the way you're explaining it, you're looking for credibility data points that you can throw out there that help others see you in the way that you want to be seen. So another great thing, I don't know, for the Canadians only, this applies. But if you've ever got involved with Informed Opinions, this is an organization that's meant to magnify the voices of women, and particularly women of minorities and different cultures. But you can become a speaker at no cost, featured expert on their platform, and journalists could reach out to you. Because another point of credibility would be to be quoted in, say, the Globe and Mail or the Toronto Star. And you can be featured, you put your bio, you put what you would talk about, because one of the things is that women don't do is they won't, if journalists reach out, they won't always respond. So they like to have a database of ones who are primed and ready to actually respond. So,
brilliant.
So that's super easy. So I'll make a note, I'll send it to you. But then there's certainly ones as well in the US. That's the one I know in Canada, and they actually do courses. So Luann, if you weren't feeling comfortable, they teach some really great workshops on how to deal with media and stuff like that. So they're very good.
Right.
And Lindy's giving us a nice point. Start a journal, begin your day with 3 things you are grateful for. Absolutely effective. Yeah, Harrow is another one. I get subscribed to them. I have a modest paid subscription to them, but you will get a list 3 times a day of reporters looking for comment on certain stories. So I have a special feed that comes in about anything financial. You spend a couple hours a week, not even, but then you get featured in lots of publications. So that's a really good one for everyone. That's not just a Canadian thing. So those data points. And there's also, you want to apply for awards, anything you can do. And this is for everybody. If to help you feel the abundance, get some data points. Like, you know, you're great, but sometimes people want to see some external validation of that. And so now Lindy talked about at the beginning of the call, the Better Business Bureau. She's been vetted. Her company is in good standing, and people know when they deal with her, it's a reputable organization.
So it's interesting you said to apply for awards, because I know like the local Minnesota Business Journal will put out awards every year, and I feel like all you have to do is pay for the advertising and you get an award. I mean, how reputable? I've never done it. It's come up a few times. Like, truly, how reputable are those? Or is
Well,
it worth it?
if you don't have any awards yet, if that was your first one, maybe that would be worth it, right? And you know that advertising was paid, but people want to deal with award-winning individuals and businesses. And so you need to think about, how do you feel personally about that? There's lots of organizations out there that contact you, and you can win without paying, but then you can also pay to get a. Okay, I paused because I could see it was unstable. So it has to be authentic to you, Lindy, if you feel good about that. But I can tell you that people like to deal with winners, and it's psychological. Award-winning planner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're
And
like
then
informational they're like info, what do they call them? It's like you're paying for like an advertorial. They call
Yeah.
it. So, but people like see the magazine. Like we just got one business in Vancouver, and you know, they're all featured in there, but they're all, you know,
Yeah.
we figured that they paid to be in there.
Maybe next
So, but
time.
there's a lot of others too that are not pay for play. So I'll send you a list, Lindy, of some that contact me, because you don't have to pay anything to win, but you can then pay to get a badge to put on your website, or trophy or something like that. So, because you want to be able to work somewhere into the company's bio, either award-winning principal, award-winning solution, award-winning something.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So this has been fantastic. So I can already feel the abundance. And then now the challenge will be, how do you harness the ideas so that you focus on them? You're not going out now today with 100 ideas. You're going to focus on the key ones. And Stephanie and Luann, you're going to have your strategy session. I think one of you should get on Harrow immediately and start getting those in. That takes limited time. Pretty much every time when I actually sit down and fill them out, I would say probably 6 out of 10, I get featured. So some weeks I do a lot. I haven't done any for probably a month. And you can do little short things too. So yeah, definitely let us know, Lindy. Yeah. You got your fan base.
So good.
So we need the technical, which we've been doing all week with our workbook, right? We need with our financial foundation to entrepreneurial piece, but we need the mindset to go along with it. So as I mentioned the other day, some of you are going to go on your path. You've got what you need. You're moving ahead. I would like to talk to everybody. As I mentioned, I'm going to drop the thing here in the chat again, because I would like to make sure you've got your implementation steps in mind, so that you are going to go forward with its success. You managed to make time for this every day this week, and to actually focus on your business, your mindset, the financial position. But I also know that some of you will want some additional support. And so I have my upcoming group program, the Cash Control Bootcamp, is going to kick off on November 2nd. And so here is the link again, in case you need it. And that's a 6-week live online group program where we're going to go, we've just scratched the surface on everything we've done this week. So we're going to go deeper with tools. We're going to have worksheets and templates. So going into profit leaks, actually doing a cash flow forecast, doing your budget, working with the pricing matrix to get very clear on your offerings, And so there's the 6 live sessions, and then 1.5 hours each, and then 2 1-hour office hour sessions. So you know how you're feeling. I know from some questions I already had earlier this week, you don't need prior financial training to be able to come and do this. It's meeting you just like this week has been at whatever level you are at and whatever explanations you need. It's really for everyone to move through and succeed. Even if you've got the bookkeeper or the accountant, yes, it's still your responsibility to be accountable as the CEO or co-CEOs of the business and make sure that you're really stepping into that accountability. I can absolutely guarantee that if you show up, you do the work, you ask your questions, you will get a return on your investment. You've already seen this week that you've taken action and you've started to change the way you're thinking about things by dropping by for an hour a day, which has been amazing. I have so loved the engagement and all of the enthusiasm. And so it's been really fun for me to have you with me this week to be able to work through this. If anyone's looking for even further support, I certainly do work one-on-one with clients as well. Can I add some additional times for the week of October 25th? Do you mean more like this? Is this what you mean?
I mean, in your Calendly, I only see 4 dates.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, I can.
Or even into November first week. Like, Lou and I have like you've got the conference and everything next week and everything. So we have another Board of Trade event. And
yes, I will open some more times.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah.
And Lindy, I was just going to say, if you don't mind, that we actually sponsor the Board of Trade and provide a workshop, 2 workshops in lieu of our membership fee.
Oh,
so it's an in-kind donation, like an in-kind. So our workshops work out to the corporate membership. So that's an option maybe to think about. So we don't lay any cash out, but it's our time.
Nice.
Very good option.
Good idea.
Oh.
Barter. I like it.
Very good. Any final questions today before I let you head out for the weekend? No?
It's excellent, Tracy. You're doing a great service, and you're making it very comfortable. And, as women founders too, this is not necessarily our, I'll speak for myself, area of strength. And, so you make it very comfortable and come where you're at. I think that's very important to build this community of more financially literate, women and founders. So I think that you're doing a good thing for the world.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll drop a 1-word or 2 words comment in the chat how you're feeling as you go out onto the weekend, and you're going to set your routines for your financial fitness. Grateful. Excellent.
Tracy, I'm going to say appreciative, but I was also thinking of you last night, and I was going through some of the episodes because you have the Young Money.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, I wish I had the link. Listen to Stephanie, your interview with Stephanie, everyone else, because it's really good between the 2 of you. It was really, really good. But I was thinking, I think maybe your ask should be to get the young people in our lives to listen to your podcast, your Young Money podcast, because
that would be awesome. Yes.
Right.
Here, I'll put the link here, and Stephanie's going to be on this page because she's right up. She was just last week.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it was a really good one, especially because we hadn't spoken before. So we have a lot of natural similarities and commonalities. So that came out definitely in the episode. So loving it, elated and excited for next steps. Grateful. Thank you, Olivia. Love it, ladies. And thank you, Stephanie McCullough, who is on the phone driving in the car, going to Parents Weekend. Thanks to Barb, thanks to Helen. And I know we have a bunch of other people catching on the replay. So thank you so much. I do want to support you into your journey, whatever form that's going to take. So please do book some time with me. I will open this afternoon some additional times in the calendar. And if you don't find one that works for you, please do let me know. I'm going to stop the recording now. So anybody who wants to hang back, we can have a chat. And if not, wishing you lots of happiness this weekend. Hope you have good weather and you're able to relax and rest up a little bit. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.